So while we've created some pretty nice volumes now, and we had a look at how we might start to post-process them with the mesh sharpen, we need to introduce a little bit more detail and irregularity to these shapes in order for the mesh sharpening to really come to the forefront and kind of show, why you would want to use it. So we're going to pull the mesh sharpening out of this kind of block that we've created, that we're calling inflate. And before the mesh sharpening now, we're going to go ahead and put down another attribute noise, and I'm going to switch the preview over to the attribute noise too. So next, on this attribute noise, we're going to make sure that we're modifying the position rather than the color. And we immediately get these slightly more distorted edges. So this is completely the wrong scale. We're going to increase the scale now to be sort of 100 times larger. And then we can increase the amplitude as well a little bit. So this is now maybe a little bit too big. So we're going to decrease the scale. And that's now starting to do what I wanted. So we can see that we're getting this kind of noisier character or appearance added to these rocks. Now, this is again something you need to be careful with, because this noise is very regular, and while it does a good job of adding some secondary volumes, it can tend to look a little bit synthetic if you just leave it untreated. But in the interests of keeping this thing moving along relatively fast, we're going to say that this is okay for now. You, of course, can explore different noise types, and these can sometimes create a much better output. In fact, maybe let's just roll with this one for now. I'm going to increase the scale ever so slightly. I don't want to spend too long really finagling this to get it to where I'd be completely happy with it. But you'll see now that after we've introduced that noise, we do get the benefit when we start to do the sharpening, in that the sharpening is going to start to sort of bring out some of these features in a really interesting way. We can bring this down a little bit, increase the strength a little bit of the smoothing, and just sort of play with these settings a little bit. And we're going to be able to kind of, actually maybe we completely remove that and then just play just with the sharpening, decrease the number of iterations a bit. You can start to kind of pull out some of the larger forms and make them feel a little bit more planar, which can work quite nicely. So maybe we can increase the noise a little bit, the strength of the noise a little bit, and then we can see that the sharpening is going to be doing its thing. So this is without the sharpening, we see it's a little bit noisier, and then with the sharpening, we get some of these larger planes that can tend to look quite nice. Now, again, these are things that you would want to art direct and spend some time finagling, but I'm just going to kind of say that it's okay at this stage, and we're going to move on to the next step. And we can call this stage the kind of detail volume detailing, or yeah, let's just call it that for now. At this stage as well, I'm going to call your attention to something else, which is we are starting to see a lot of these kind of weird little kind of pointy parts on all of the rocks. Now, depending on what kind of style of rocks you're looking to create, this might be okay, but at least for me, I want to have a nice way to address this. So we're going to do one more little post-process, and actually the nice thing once you reach this stage is that you have a lot of freedom to determine the order of operations and sort of play around and experiment. So just for now, what we're going to do is after this kind of detailing noisy step, we're going to go through and figure out a way to deal with all of these spikes. And this is where we're going to introduce for the first time the idea of compile blocks, and we're going to talk a little bit about why they're important. So there's a nice tool inside of Houdini called VDB from polygons, and this is going to try to convert all of this into a volume. And right now the voxel size is 10 centimeters. I'm going to put it on 5 meters so that things will move along quite quickly. And you can see that it's converting this into a sort of like a voxel representation of the geometry, and it's pretty fast, and it gives an interesting result. And then if we go and do VDB convert, or convert VDB back to polygons, then you'll see that we've now converted it back to geometry, only we're getting these large meshes with these kind of bridges between them now, where the voxels were close enough together that during the conversion process, it kind of got treated as one unit. And we can go ahead and we can sort of scale down the voxel size, and this is going to deal with part of the issue. But the problem is that as we start getting to higher resolutions, it's not going to completely address this problem. We're still going to get these weird little bridges, and it's also going to start to get quite slow, trying to treat this whole large sort of area as one thing. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can create a for loop that's going to run over each of these rocks individually and allow us to process them one by one. And that's what we're going to do in the next video.